Good meeting. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you to everyone who is here for the Development and Services Committee meeting. It is 5:09 p.m. and I officially call our meeting to order, noting that there was a slight delay because the previous committee, the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee, ran a little long, which is why we are starting a little bit late today. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Brenham.
Here.
Teresia.
Here.
Barron.
Here.
English.
Present.
Newton.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. That brings us to our next item of business, which is the approval of the minutes found on pages 5 through 8. I'll entertain a motion.
Moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Brenham.
Yes.
Teresia.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
That brings us to adoption of the agenda. Before we entertain a motion, I will look to staff to see if there are any additions or changes.
No requested changes.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, and it is always a delight to have you here, sir. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Brenham.
Yes.
Teresia.
Yes.
Barron.
Yes.
English.
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And I would be remiss if I appreciated our county administrator without recognizing our county attorney. If you look at items for action, item 4A is a recommendation from the county attorney's office, a road closure request for Cottontown Way. Is there an update from staff on this item?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Wright.
I will say that a number of departments were asked about this request. There was one department that have a concern. Our emergency management division did have a concern. The one thing is that said that closing and blocking the street may delay fire response to the side of the building, and also the building has a side roll-up door on Gaylord Street that may be impacted by the closure as well. So that was for our emergency management. Those were the concerns they had with potentially closing this road. Basically, the court will make the decision, but they do request the recommendation from the local body.
Thank you. And Attorney Wright, I understand that it is at the discretion of council for us to either recommend to approve or recommend to deny.
Right.
Generally speaking, when these items have come before us, they have been with either the unanimous recommendation of staff or complete neutrality on the part of staff. And I don't know that anyone is here from EMS to speak to the safety concerns that you just mentioned. So bear with me while I try to ask this question, and I'll see if other council members have questions as well. There are concerns that people have that have different levels of import or urgency. So there are things that I'm concerned about. You know, I'm concerned when my children go out the door, but I'm not really worried that an asteroid is going to fall on them. If it seemed likely, then I would really freak out about it. But I'm worried about everything, but that's not really high on my list. And so I guess I say that to ask if there's a level of concern expressed by EMS, which is to say, hey, we think this could potentially be a problem, but it's unlikely, or hey, we're really concerned about this, and if we had our druthers, council would recommend to deny. Mr. Brown, you're recognized.
If you notice, I used a Miss Newton close to the mic hand to be recognized.
I appreciate your skill, sir.
I did see that Director Byrd is actually online.
Okay.
So he may be able to directly address it. I think he's unmuted.
You are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Brown. I did visit the site and came up with those observations. It struck me that the owner of the building in question, it appeared that they had not been contacted or had given any input on the matter of closing that road, and it seems like they would be the ones that would be most impacted by the closure. So perhaps we can get a statement from them. When I went by there, the business was closed, and it is a furniture company that has a high fire load in that building. So it would be something that we would be concerned about, but certainly could be addressed.
Thank you, Director Byrd. Any other comments from staff before I look to council members to see if they have questions? Okay. Councilwoman Teresa, then Councilwoman Barron.
Thank you. So I'm pretty familiar with this area, and we tried to find this on the map, and I guess I'm a little confused about what exactly we would be supporting the closing of, and what function I guess it serves now. Is it kind of a little half block piece of a road? Can we just give it like a description of what it actually is? And maybe it looks like it maybe goes to the side of this business that is directly across from the War Mouth. I'm looking to staff to get kind of a description of what exactly we're doing.
So to describe what we're doing, specifically, this action that's before you comes because someone has petitioned the court system. And so once that happens, the county has to provide input for the court to consider. So this is not something necessarily that, was initiated by Richland County, but is a function of that process. But in terms of describing the property itself, Director Byrd did mention that he visited it and he may be able to provide you a little bit more of a description. Director Byrd, can you take a moment and please describe what you know, sir?
Yes, sir. If you're going out North Main Street away from Elmwood, Franklin Street turns off to the right, and less than a block, this particular street turns back to the right, and right there at the corner is the furniture store. And the road itself goes down about maybe 200 yards, and it looks like it terminates into the backside of the old Jim Moore Cadillac property. So there's nothing else on there other than this building that sits right at the corner.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful for me to identify. It doesn't show up on Google Maps, but I can place it now a little bit better.
Does that conclude your remarks?
Yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Barron, then Councilman Branham.
So I think Ms. Newton kind of hit on it earlier. And that is, I don't know if it's just me, but it seems like everybody's volume is a little lower than normal today. But is there a recommendation for us? Because it just seems like we're just kind of out here throwing darts to see if we're going to, see if we're going to hit the bullseye or not. Because I just don't, if it's something that doesn't necessarily impede on someone's safety or, it's not causing any challenges, I'm not certain why we would even, I know why we have to get involved, but why would we even engage at this level?
Madam Chair.
You're recognized.
What that's the concern is that our Mr. Byrd, he went out to the property and there was a concern that if that road is closed, then it could delay a fire response to this building that is a furniture store that has he says a potential high hazard if there is a fire. So that's concern. And plus apparently the owner of the property didn't even know that they were requesting this. So that's the concern at this point. He said it's the possibility it could be taken care of or dealt with, but at this point, there's a concern with the potential for the fire response. That's the main thing.
If I may.
Please, you have the floor.
So, and I understand that's Director Byrd has observed those items, and so you've given us okay, you can approve it or you can disapprove it, but with now having the information that we do have from Director Byrd, it appears that we're leaning towards the disapproved side. I know for me, if it's talking about impeding on safety of residents and then property owners are not fully aware of what's going on, I'm definitely not in support of anything like that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Brandt.
And-
Sorry, I'm combining names because Councilman Branham is next, but I do know your names. Miss Attorney Wright, you're recognized, and then I'll recognize Councilman Branham and Councilwoman English.
Right. And I think at this point, since we are in committee, if it does go up to the full council, there's time that, we could get more information and to give you more information for the actual vote in full council at that point. But this is where we stand today.
Thank you, Councilwoman Barron. Councilman Branham.
Thank you. Can we pull this up on the GIS on the screen with satellite imagery? There's a layer.
That's a maybe. Councilman Branham.
Hey, sorry.
I was going to ask if that was central to your question, if it would be okay if I recognize Councilwoman English while they tried to work their magic.
I'm fine to keep going.
Okay.
I have utmost confidence that this can be done because we did it at every planning commission meeting that I ever served there. Anyway, part of the reason I'm asking about that is because Director Welch just indicated, or Byrd was it? I'm sorry.
Byrd.
That the road was about maybe 200 yards, so maybe that's 600 feet. The petition talks about 350 feet being closed. So I guess I'm kind of wondering, is that the first 350 feet coming off of, I think it's Franklin Street? Maybe the ordinance doesn't reference it, but I'm curious about the purpose. What is the justification for the closure? The petition doesn't say.
It doesn't say.
Right. And we've obviously been served. We're a party. Because of the state statute, we've got to report, make some kind of report to the court. Sounds like maybe the surrounding property owners that are also made defendants in the case haven't been served with the petition yet. So it makes us feel a little less certain about what we might want to recommend. Can we just make a report that says, we looked at it, our EMS reported this, thanks for asking, and not really take a position as far as, yes, we support the closure?
Well, what you can do is say that, there are the concerns as far as the fire getting there, and whatever other concerns we have, and can say that, we cannot recommend, or we cannot, so we can make that type of, so we don't have to say that, no, we're against it, but we can say that based on these facts, at this time, we can't recommend the closure
Thank you.
or support the closure. Right.
Thank you. I will recognize Councilwoman English. I've noted that Councilwoman Teresa has touched her microphone, but perhaps our additional comments might be able to be discussion that takes place in the form of a motion. She nudges. You're recognized, Councilwoman English.
Thank you. One thing is just, thank you, Councilman Browning, because that was my question. But the other thing is just for clarity, you said the business is no longer open?
He said when he visited, it was closed at the time.
Oh, just closed at the time. Okay,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you for that clarity. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is that all? And I'll recognize, did you want to be recognized, Councilwoman Teresa?
Yes, we'll try to make a motion.
We're all ears.
Fantastic. I move that a response is submitted with the stated concerns from staff, and that this statement, and we add a statement that we are not recommending closure based on information that has been offered to us.
It's been moved and properly seconded. We're in discussion period. My name's been on the list, but I've been ignoring it, so I'll just ask a question. Councilwoman Teresa, with your motion that we note the safety concerns that our staff have, then you also said that we note that we're not recommending approval. Are you really saying for your note that we don't recommend approval, or that we don't take a position that are you basically saying what Councilman Branham said? Well, I think it was actually Attorney Wright, that we're not taking a position to approve or deny the road closure, but we are noting the safety concerns of EMS. Are you saying that, or are you saying we recommend that you disapprove and these are the safety reasons?
That we are not making a recommendation. Your first statement.
Okay, and that's the motion that you were seconding, Councilwoman Barron? And that's the statement that you were seconding? Yes. Okay, and then my question for Attorney Wright would be, I would love it if someone who knew the law would draft that statement. Does that need to be part of the motion, or with the motion as it exists, would this magical legal expert automatically write that?
Yeah, we would give the appropriate language
Thank you.
For the court to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any additional discussion? And again, please note I requested a magical legal expert, not the regular ones that get assigned sometimes, but magical.
Not AI?
Is there any additional discussion from the body? Madam Clerk, will you call for the vote?
Branham,
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes?
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Thank you.
Madam
That brings
Chair,
it.
just
Yes.
briefly, I did want to say that at law school, they beat the magic out of you. You go in with magic in you, and they just beat it right out.
I hear what you're saying, but when you come to county government, all kinds of wonderful things can happen. So I just want to leave that out there.
Another compliment for Mr. Wright and his team.
Thank you.
Indeed. And
I
now,
think I've regained my magic.
thank you. And now I can compliment our public works staff with item 4B, an engineering division request, and from the engineering division for an easement request at 1364 Northpoint Boulevard. Is there a member of staff who'd like to address this? Magical or no?
County Engineer Fuller told me she likes when I do it. So unless there's a specific question for the county engineer related to this item, it is a request from Dominion Energy to provide access to the county's property. There's going to be a commercial development there. Staff does recommend approval of providing the easement. It is set out in the packet, but we do recommend approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any additional discussion or questions from the body?
Move to approve.
Second?
It's been moved and properly seconded for approval. Madam Clerk?
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
Motion approved.
And I'll compliment Councilwoman Barron on how swiftly she made that motion. We all appreciated that. Moving to item 5, items pending analysis, no action required. There is item 5A, to direct the administrator to research and present to council current laws and benefits of enacting impact fees in Richland County. The purpose is to help reduce the tax burden on residents by not having to pay the complete cost of development in Richland County. There is an update in our packet informing us of where we stand with the procurement process and the award of that RFP. Are there questions from the body or a desire from a further update from staff? Then I will praise Assistant County Administrator Jensen for being willing to do that and allowing him to sit there. That brings us to item 5B. Can you scroll that up a little bit? I'm having computer issues. I could flip through paper, but I can't make this work. I move that the administrator look at the illegal dumping ordinance and state law and investigate the incorporation of a community service element in the penalty for illegal dumping, as well as look into the possibility of levying a higher penalty for businesses that engage in illegal dumping, including the potential revocation or suspension of their business license, also incorporating an escalation schedule based on the weight of the material illegally dumped and whether the individual or business is a repeat offender within a 12-month period. We'll just recognize Administrator Brown.
I feel like I have to be recognized on this item, but I will work with resources that are available in the county to do what the motion is asking for. I anticipate being able to provide a schedule similar to what was done in the last item so that you can understand and kind of follow along that way. But that's the only update I have considering the request of the motion.
Thank you. I look forward to praising Councilwoman Barron as we move to item 6.
You are just the commentator today. I'm enjoying all of this. So, Mr. Brown, do you have a timeline for us?
I do not have a timeline. I'd have to work with some of our additional county resources and hopefully provide that. But I will, at the next meeting, there will be a timeline in the packet that talks about, if not an update fully, it will at least be a timeline on when you can expect the update.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Councilwoman Barron, I'm looking at you. That brings us to item 6,
Move
adjournment.
to adjourn.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Brenham,
Yes.
Teratio,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
English, Newton.
Yes,
Motion approved.
we are adjourned.